Hi, everybody. Welcome to English Digest. I'm Tom.
Hi, I'm Stephanie.
It's our TOEIC unit for the month of September. That's what we're going to be covering today. And in our TOEIC unit for today, we're talking about an unforgettable tour of Orchid Island. Now, Orchid Island, of course, is one of the outlying islands around Taiwan. There's Penghu, there's Orchid Island, there's Green Island, there's Jinmen, Mazu, etc. They're all outlying islands. And this particular island is kind of interesting because there's an Aboriginal tribe living there, the Da'u people. They used to be called the Yami in English, but now we refer to them as the Da'u people.
Oh, they changed it, huh? Well, I've never been to Orchid Island myself, but it sure sounds pretty. And we're going to be talking about a travel agency that's offering a couple of different package tours. One's for 2 days and one's for 3 days. Notice when we get to that part, we're going to talk about why we don't put an S on 2-day tour and why when I say it's 2 days, I put an S on there. Stay tuned. We're going to explain that. That's pretty important, and it seems like everybody gets that wrong here. So we're going to start out by reading through the article. We'll also read through this, what looks like a flyer or an ad for this agency, and then we'll be back.
Orchid Island is an exotic travel destination full of natural beauty. Due to popular demand, we've assembled 2- and 3-day tour packages to ensure you'll see the best the island has to offer. Island Adventures Travel Agency. Package options and prices. 2-day tour, $6,500 NT. 3-day tour, $8,500 NT. What to expect? Our tour begins with a scooter tour around the island. In the late afternoon, it's time to head to the beach for a glorious snorkeling adventure. Finally, we'll close out the first day at dusk by taking in a gorgeous Orchid Island sunset over the Qingqing grassland. The following dawn, you'll witness an unforgettable sunrise at Dongqing Bay. Later, you'll cruise the island on your scooter and observe traditional Da'u fishing boats. You'll even have the option of rowing out to sea on one of these vessels for a small additional expense. The 3-day tour costs an additional $2,000 NT, but it's well worth the extra expense. It includes an enlightening historical tour of traditional underground houses and a visit to the legendary Lover's Cave. Both packages include round-trip ferry tickets from Fugong Port to Orchid Island. Snorkeling equipment rental, professional instruction, and insurance are included. Reminders: travelers are required to present ID at Fugong Port. Travelers must possess a scooter driving license for scooter rentals. In the event of a change in itinerary or cancellation due to unforeseen circumstances, please contact customer service for a partial refund.
Well, I have to be honest, when I saw this, I was a little jealous that somebody out there was perhaps going on a vacation. I need a vacation. Seems like we've been stuck here in Taiwan forever. It's kind of hard to travel with all the what do you call it in English? I just always say gully.
Restrictions, quarantines, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Vaccines.
Yeah. And I've already had COVID, so I can go. But, it's kind of hard to travel. This place is really close, though. Orchid Island is one of the outlying islands Tom talked about at the beginning of the program. It's pretty close to the island of Taiwan. And it has a beautiful name. I love the orchids here in Taiwan. I grew up in a desert area of the United States, and you could not grow orchids there because they need moisture. But we tried. I would buy some for my mom, and they'd last a little while and then die. But this is supposedly an unforgettable tour, meaning you'll never forget this tour you went on. It will be so spectacular.
Yep, and like a lot of destinations in Taiwan, of course, lots of people travel overseas to Japan, Korea, Thailand, etc., but they've never been to some great spots right here in good old Taiwan.
True.
So, of course, you probably took advantage of those travel destinations during the pandemic, and Orchid Island could have been one of your destinations, and if it wasn't, then maybe you ought to consider going there. One way to go to Orchid Island is to take a tour, and we've got an imaginary one here that might reflect what real tours are like. So again, it's an unforgettable tour of Orchid Island. And we begin by saying Orchid Island is an exotic travel destination full of natural beauty. So if something's exotic, it's very unusual and it's not something you're used to. So for people here in Taiwan, to travel to Europe would be an exotic travel destination because Europe is totally different from Taiwan. Or for Westerners who come to Thailand or Taiwan, yes, indeed, Taiwan and Thailand would be exotic as well.
Yeah, I often think of a place being foreign to me or the culture being foreign when I think of this word exotic. It could be a person. Oh, she looks very exotic. Or the food. It could be a number of things that you use with this word exotic. Even strange animals can be described as being exotic. Well, this place is full of natural beauty. It's not man-made. It's not full of, I guess, hotels and things that people have built or constructed there. It's full of natural beauty. So due to popular demand, we've assembled 2- and 3-day tour packages to ensure you'll see the best the island has to offer. If you're in America, or perhaps even in the UK or Canada, you'll hear advertisements, and sometimes you'll use that phrase. You'll hear them say, oh, due to popular demand, we're bringing back this great sale we had last month. So due to popular demand, meaning a lot of people have been very pleased with these particular tours, and so they've assembled or put together different tour packages. You can also say, I'm going on a package tour. Package tour just means it includes a lot of things and you pay a lump sum instead of paying for each thing separately, like your meals and your accommodations, your hotel. So this is a 2- and 3-day tour package or packages we're talking about. Notice if you're taking 2-day and turning it into an adjective, meaning you put that hyphen in between 2 and day, you do not add an S if after that follows some sort of noun. And here we're talking about tours. So 2-day tours, 3-day tours, or 2-day tour package or 3-day tour package, or I'm going on a tour that lasts 3 days. That's when you'd use the S.
And a friend of mine, I think, went on a 5-day tour of Orchid Island many years ago. So I guess it kind of depends on what you want to do there. If you want to hang out with the local people and make some friends and stuff, yes, you might want to stay there longer. When I went to Orchid Island many years ago, it was like a 1.5-day tour. And then the second day at about noon, we took a boat over to Green Island.
Oh, nice.
So it was a combination tour of Orchid Island and Green Island in a 2-day tour.
I would do that.
But that was many years ago before it was developed, so maybe now there are more things to see and do, and you should spend more time there. So here's some information about this tour agency and what they offer. It's called Island Adventures Travel Agency. You do have some agencies like that down in Taidong. I remember there being one down by the old train station in Taidong before it moved out of town. There were a couple of travel agencies there, and they specialized in tours of Orchid Island and Green Island. So yes, this travel agency is likely in Taidong City. Again, we've made this up for our lesson here, but we've got a description of the package options and their prices. So a 2-day tour is going to cost you 6,500 NT dollars, and a 3-day tour will be 8,500 NT dollars. To me, that sounds like a good deal if that includes transportation and accommodation, because you do have to either fly over to Orchid Island or take a boat.
Yeah, you took a boat. Is that correct?
Well, actually, we flew the first day from Taidong to Orchid Island and then took a boat let's see, how did we do it? That was so many years ago. Then we took a boat from Orchid Island to Green Island, where I got really seasick. And then I think we took a plane from Green Island back to Taidong.
Sounds fun. That's a good way to see 2 islands in one vacation. So the tour begins with a scooter tour around the island. A scooter is a smaller vehicle, you could say, than a motorcycle. The engine is smaller. Most of the folks around Taiwan are riding scooters rather than motorcycles. Scooters don't go quite as fast. So that would be fun. And in the late afternoon, I would say 4 or 5 o'clock, they say it's time to head to the beach for a glorious snorkeling adventure. Glorious is wonderful, something that makes you really happy. It's pretty terrific. So if you're going snorkeling, you're probably using a snorkel. That's a face mask with a little tube that's connected to the mask that will help you breathe. You can't put your whole tube under the water or it'll fill up with water. So it helps you breathe while you put your head beneath the surface of the water to see beautiful things. You do not need oxygen for that. That would be scuba diving. That's different. You have to have a lot of training in order to do that. Scuba or snorkeling is for kids and for adults who don't have time to learn how to scuba dive. Finally, it says we'll close out the first day at dusk. Dusk is when the sun goes down. That's what we call that. Before the sun comes up in the morning, it's dawn. And right after it goes down, it's dusk. So they're going to take a gorgeous Orchid Island or sea you're going to take in or view this beautiful sunset. And they're going to look at it over the Ching grassland, wherever that is.
Yeah, so that would be an area with lots of grass. So you'll get to see the sunset while you look over the grassland. So, of course, that's going to offer you some great photo opportunities.
Yeah.
And then the following dawn, the next day, early in the morning, you'll witness an unforgettable sunrise at Dongsheng Bay. So that would be on the eastern side of Orchid Island, where you could actually see the sunrise, and that would be at dawn. Later, you'll cruise the island on your scooter and observe traditional Da'u fishing boats. Of course, you know those boats, they're white and red with lots of wonderful patterns on them. It's very symbolic of Orchid Island. And so if you go there, you will be able to look at those boats. They're traditional Da'u fishing boats. And I think they use those in ceremonies nowadays, but I don't think they use them for their regular fishing ventures. I think they use them to show the tourists, of course, and to have ceremonies and things like that. And again, we've got that word T-A-O here. If you look at that word without knowing how to pronounce it, you're probably going to say Tao. But I've been told that the name of the people on the island is Da'u, like 2 syllables, Da'u. So this means Da'u, the people there and their fishing boats. That's right.
We use a T to represent D, the sound at least of D in Chinese, like Dao, like, you know, you're following this wise path. So, yeah, Dao fishing boat. You'll even have the option or choice. You can pick this if you're interested of rowing out to sea on one of these vessels for a small additional expense. So you can actually get in one of these boats and row it yourself, which would include some physical labor. So if you don't want to work hard, don't sign up for this. If you use this word vessel, we'll often use it to talk about a container that we put liquid into, but it's also used to describe some sort of a craft for traveling on water, usually a smaller type of rowboat or boat and not a ship. So you have to pay extra, though. It's a small additional expense. Now, the 3-day tour costs an additional 2,000 NT dollars, but our writer says it's well worth the extra expense. Why? Well, it includes an enlightening historical tour of traditional underground houses and a visit to the legendary Lover's Cave. I've even heard of that. If something's enlightening, it just adds to your knowledge. You learn something by doing whatever they're talking about. So you get to go on a historical tour. I love that. And that is included in the 3-day tour, but not the 2-day tour.
Exactly. So these are the prices that you can expect to pay for these tours. And of course, the underground houses are halfway underground. They're not totally underground. And then, of course, there's Lover's Cave, which you can check out as well. Now, you need to get there, of course. And in this particular case, both packages include round-trip ferry tickets from Fugong Port to Orchid Island. As you know, Fugong Port is a fishing harbor just north of Taidong City. So you need to go there to get ferries over to Green Island and Orchid Island. And again, many years ago when I went to Orchid Island, we took a propeller plane from Taidong Airport out to Orchid Island.
We call those planes puddle jumpers.
Exactly. Exactly right. I think you could fit maybe 10 people on one of them at the time or something like that. But that was many years ago. I don't know if they still offer that service. But in any case, a round-trip ticket means you pay for the ticket to go there and to come back. That's the American term for that ticket. If you're talking to somebody from the UK, they'll call that a return ticket, a ticket that includes going out and coming back.
Now, you get snorkeling equipment that you can rent, and we're calling it equipment rental. When you rent something, of course, you give somebody some money for a brief time to use something that doesn't belong to you. It belongs to them, and then you return it. It should be in good shape when you bring it back. So equipment rental, the ability to rent something, professional instruction, and insurance are all included. So you want to get some insurance in case you have a terrible accident or something unforeseen happens. Insurance is money you pay out before something bad happens. And if nothing bad happens, well, you're out a little bit of money. But if something bad happens, that means the insurance company can pay for your expenses and what it costs to recover. So here are some reminders, things to remember. You are required to present ID at Fugong Port. You have to show ID. You can't just go in there without showing ID. Perhaps they're afraid spies will be there. I don't know. Travelers must have or possess a scooter driving license. If you want to rent a scooter, that makes sense. That's like trying to rent a car and not having a driver's license to drive a car. So you have to have a scooter driving license, or as we say in English more often, in American English, a driver's license. Driver's, it's an apostrophe S, possessive there. So in the event of a change in itinerary or a change of schedule, that's what an itinerary is. Itinerary includes what you're going to do day by day, sometimes hour by hour, that you usually get when you go on a trip. And sometimes you have to cancel due to unforeseen or unexpected circumstances, and that's when you'd contact customer service. What are they going to do for you, Tom?
Well, they might give you a partial refund, so they won't give all of your money back. They'll give some of it back. So that means it's a good idea for you to make absolutely sure that you want to go there, because if you have to cancel, well, you're not going to be totally refunded. But again, there may be unforeseen circumstances, like a friend came in from out of town, or there was an earthquake, a terrible flood, someone in your family got hurt or something like that. So those are unforeseen circumstances, things you didn't know were going to happen.
Yeah, partial means just a little bit of what you paid, but you kind of expect that because I'm sure the travel agency had to pay in advance for you, and if you unexpectedly cancel due to some unforeseen circumstance, then they need to recoup or get back some of that money they've already paid. Okay, now we're going to listen to our Chinese teacher for a few minutes, and then we'll be back. We have some discussion questions.
大家好，我是派老师。今天讲解的是9月7号 Unit4 An Unforgettable Tour of Orchid Island。武汉肺炎期间，多数民众碍于相关的隔离检疫要求，都不会出国旅游。也因为如此，反而多了一些深入探访国内各地风景名胜的机会。其中一个引人入胜的景点，就是太平洋当中的小岛兰屿。大家有没有曾经造访过呢？今天这一课是多益单元，第一课课程呈现的是兰屿旅游的行程介绍。Without further ado， 我们一起看看今日课程内容的学习重点。好，请首先看到第一段开头 Orchid Island is an exotic travel destination。 请同学特别注意 exotic 这个字，它是一个形容词，表示呢具有异国风味、异国情调的。那我们也知道说，兰屿呢和我们台湾的风情其实呢是相当不一样的，所以刚刚造访的旅客可能会觉得好像到了一个完全不一样的国度，所以我们用形容词 exotic。 再来，请同学呢看到 due to 后面的主要子句 Due to popular demand, we've assembled 2- and 3-day tour packages。 好，这边呢 tour packages 就是旅行社所推出的套装行程，所以我们可以看到，因为兰屿是一个受到大家欢迎的旅游景点 due to popular demand， 那所以旅行社他们就组合了2天甚至于呢3天的套装行程 tour packages。 下面这个表格就是让我们知道说，如果是2天的行程，请同学帮老师找一下，请问费用是多少呢？6500，没有错。那3天的行程 3-day tour 费用是8500元。好的，那这样子的行程到底有哪些差别呢？我们先看到，原来在这套行程里面 Our tour begins with the scooter tour around the island。 请问同学知道 scooter 是什么吗？是的，没有错，就是摩托车。所以这个行程一开始呢是要用摩托车环岛 a scooter tour around the island。 再来，用摩托车环岛之后还有哪些活动呢？原来在下午的时候 It's time to head to the beach for a glorious snorkeling adventure。 在下午的时候，旅行社会带旅客到海边去做浮潜 snorkeling adventure。 最后怎么样结束一天的行程呢？ Close out the first day。 原来结束一天的行程可以用这样子的片语来表达 Close out the first day， 第一天会在什么样的情况之下结束？首先呢，先标示出时间 at dusk， 所以咯，到了傍晚结束。那傍晚的时候会做什么事呢？ Taking in a gorgeous Orchid Island sunset， 就是去欣赏兰屿非常壮观、非常美丽的日落 sunset 夕阳。好的，那接下来隔天的时候会做哪些活动？ Later, you'll cruise the island on your scooter。 接下来呢，就是一样用摩托车环岛 cruise the island。Cruise the island 动词所用的是 cruise， 就是在这个岛上呢到处旅游看看。不过呢，所使用的交通工具是 scooter。 好，摩托车。接下来除了骑摩托车环岛之外，当然还可以划船哦。所用的呢就是兰屿他们的传统的拼板船。They row out to sea on one of these vessels. Tourists will have the chance to row out to sea， 就是 row out to sea， 所以自己划船划到外海去。On one of these vessels，vessel 指的呢就是船只。好的，接下来请同学看到这个表格的下方下方呢有几个声明，同学未来如果参加旅行社的行程，也不要忘记特别注意这些在表格后面附注的说明哦。Both packages include round-trip ferry tickets。 原来上面的这个费用其实是包含了来回票的。来回票怎么说呢？ Round-trip tickets。 而且呢是搭渡轮就是搭渡轮从台湾到兰屿的来回票。再来，请同学看到下面的 reminders， 就是对旅客的一些温馨提醒。其中呢包括说，这些费用虽然呢缴了这个费用就可以骑摩托车，不过要注意的是，旅客本身必须要先有驾照。 They must possess a scooter driving license， 这样子才可以租摩托车。好，最后一点特别的重要，如果行程呢因为一些无法先预测的原因 unforeseen circumstances， 所以行程有所改变 a change in itinerary， 这个时候呢，就可以呢申请办理部分的退费 ，a partial refund。refund 呢就是退费。好，以上呢是我们针对多益课程第一天的讲解，谢谢。
We're going to take a quick break. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Okay, welcome back, everybody. As promised, we've got some discussion questions here, and we're going to ask each other these questions and provide some sample answers. Hopefully, you can get together with your classmates and have discussions as well. So here's our first discussion for today, our first discussion question, and that is, do you prefer taking group tours or doing sightseeing on your own, and why?
It depends. My mom and I took a couple of trips by ourselves, and I think because she's older, it was better for me to get some sort of tour package and take her along. But if I'm going out with my friends, we're used to traveling a lot, and so we like to go on our own. But if you're going to a country where you don't speak the language, there's not a lot of English, I might consider doing a package tour. What about you, Tom?
Yeah, again, it's kind of a hybrid kind of touring. When I went with my wife to Beijing back in 1999, we went there ourselves and we found our own hotel. But then when we were at the hotel, we just asked them about their package tours, if they had tours for residents in the hotel or guests. And yes, we did participate in a group tour. Was it the Ming Tombs and the Great Wall and stuff like that?
Cool.
And, of course, there were some other people in the group who were interesting. Some people from Macau and Canada and different places, and even a couple from France there. So that was kind of fun there. Yeah, it would have been a real big hassle to do all that stuff on our own.
Yeah, if you don't know what you're doing or where you're supposed to go, it depends on the hotel. I got some recommendations when I was in Xi'an for a tour, and it turned out that the hotel had a good person, but he also tried to sell me on some other things. So you got to watch out for that. Now, here's the second question. Tom, do you prefer snorkeling or scuba diving? Explain.
Well, I don't know how to do scuba diving, so I suppose the answer would be snorkeling, but let's say I don't know how to do either one of them. I'd still prefer snorkeling because it's just easier, it's faster. Scuba diving requires renting all that equipment and having special skills. Snorkeling, you can see plenty of stuff, floating around close to the coral reef or stuff like that. How about you?
Yeah, I have not been scuba diving. My brother trained with his wife. They quite enjoy it. Snorkeling, I always do it wrong, Tom, and I end up, getting water into my tube when I'm trying to breathe.
Well, you're supposed to blow it out. Yeah.
I know, and then my goggles never fit well enough, so the water gets in. I haven't had a lot of success snorkeling. I'm not a big water fan. I'd rather go to the mountains. But these are great questions, and we encourage you to have a conversation with your classmates and practice some of these terms. Well, that's all the time we have now. We've got to wrap it up and say goodbye. We hope you'll join us for day 2. We're going to continue talking about Orchid Island and a vacation there. For English Digest, I'm Stephanie.
And I'm Tom. Goodbye.
Bye.